Hey guys, my name is John Singleton. I'm head coach of the program. I'm here in Barcelona in Studio CrossFit, and today we're going to be taking you through the kettlebell clean and jerk and the kettlebell snatch. If you enjoy the video, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and we will keep bringing you more content. So today I'm lucky enough to be joined by Reka Morgan. I'm going to get straight to the exercises. Reka's just going to first of all demonstrate both of the exercises. We have what's called the kettlebell clean and jerk. And the kettlebell snatch. Okay. Now, like with most things in CrossFit and this world, there's lots of variants of how we can do these. You can do them with 2 kettlebells. They're very similar to the dumbbell, although some nuances that we need to change in order to make that happen. But in essence, we're going to be looking at the single kettlebell and looking at 2 basic movements. So the kettlebell we are going to be taking from the hang, taking to our shoulder, going through a clean and jerk, and the snatch we're going to be taking from the hang in one movement all the way to the head, to above the head. So, one of the most important things is how we hold the kettlebell. So if Reka just shows us kettlebell swings, just typical kettlebell swings, 2 hands. So you can see the kettlebell obviously has a handle, and it makes sense to hold the handle like so during the kettlebell swings. It's the most relaxed position to do so. However, now when we start coming into this unilateral work or one-sided work, holding the kettlebell, we actually hold it in a slightly different place. So if I'm just take the kettlebell now from here. Now, one of the biggest problems that people have is they grab the kettlebell in the middle. And what this creates is the kettlebell to move around and often slam onto the person's wrist. And you guys who've been in classes, you know all about it, that you've been doing this, the next day you end up with a bruise on your forearm, it's sore, makes it hard to do. And that's often, it's due to 2 things. One, holding the kettlebell, and also the timing. So what we're actually going to do, instead of the kettlebell swing, which we will hold like so, I'm actually going to grab the kettlebell in this position. You can see that the kettlebell is rotated, my arm is rotated, and this is going to allow me to rotate slightly as I come through. So I have a slight rotation coming through. I'm not holding in the middle, that makes it harder. I'm actually holding slightly towards the end of the kettlebell into the hook, and that allows me to rotate slightly. So I'm just going to pass that down to Reka, and all she's going to do now is she's going to come from the hang, take it up to the shoulder, and take it back down. And what you can see is how much the kettlebell actually rotates as we come through. She rotates, comes back, rotates, comes back. Okay, and relax. And really it's that rotation that's key. If I take the kettlebell and I swing and I wait for it to come over, you guys can see that's the reason we get the bruise. I come here and I just let the kettlebell kind of fall onto my wrist. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm rotating it round to the position so I can hold it in a more comfortable way. Rachel's going to do a couple more of those. Just take it to the cleans just so we can... and then just hold that rack position. So this is the front rack for the kettlebell is very different to our front rack for the barbell. As you can, well, with the barbell, we'd have the kettlebell on the shoulder, the barbell on the shoulder, so the weight goes through there. But actually with the kettlebell, we hold it close into our chest, and this position of the arm gives us our front rack stability. So we're actually holding here. Arguably, it's slightly harder to hold here. Because we have the weight on our chest, it makes breathing slightly more difficult, and because the weight's further forward, it doesn't necessarily transfer through our body. The important thing to note is that we are looking at this for CrossFit. We're not looking at this as a lot of people compete with kettlebells, follow the Russian system. These techniques are what we would use in CrossFit. And what you actually see a lot of CrossFitters do, because it's harder to hold the front rack here, is they'll actually put the kettlebell on the shoulder so it can transfer through the body. However, typically for this style of clean and jerk, we're going to hold it into the front rack of our chest, And then from here, that allows me to drive up and go overhead. The driving overhead also has a slight rotation. You've got to imagine I've come from this position here. So as I drive, the kettlebell has to go overhead, and I'm going to hit that position. It's important that my wrist stays straight and the kettlebell is always in contact with the forearm. But we're just going to have Reka demo one of those. So she takes it into the front rack, and now she drives up, receives, and then stands up. We have actively holding the kettlebell, meaning the wrist doesn't flop, just let the wrist flop. It doesn't flop like so. We have a straight line running down through the body, and then she comes back down to the front rack, down into the hang, and we have our clean and jerk. So for the athletes who don't want to have the bruising on the forearm, the most important thing is one, that we initiate a rotation rather than letting the head of the kettlebell just swing round and hit the arm. In order to practice this, just grab a light kettlebell and just keep taking it into the hang and just start accumulating reps so you guys can work with that timing, just like Reka's going to do now. And with a light kettlebell, you should be able to accumulate multiple reps over a 2 to 3 minute period, and you'll be able to start working that timing. Okay. So one of the other most common movements we have with the kettlebell, often called, in the Russian terminology, talk about the long and the short cycle. But here we're going to talk about the kettlebell snatch. And what we're going to do is we're going to go from the hang position to overhead in one movement. Now the same thing can occur as in the clean, whereas if I leave the kettlebell in the wrong position, the head of the kettlebell slams onto my forearm, and that creates the bruise. So if I kind of come over here and let it come over, you can see that motion. I just come over, it comes over, and again, over a period of time with a heavier kettlebell, that really starts to hurt and create a bruise. So what I need to do is I need to make a smoother contact with the kettlebell, and once again, a slight rotation can make that happen. So I'm not just mimicking my typical kettlebell swing where I'm following in this plane. I'm actually going to add a slight rotation as I come through, in order to use the momentum of rotation, but also in order to make the kettlebell rest on my forearm in a slightly easier way. So Reka's just going to demonstrate about 3 to 5 reps. One of the things you should also note there is that as Reka brings her arms up, she's actively coming to make contact with the kettlebell. She's not waiting for the kettlebell to arrive, or the arm to arrive and then the kettlebell to just fall in place. She wants to make those two things happen together. And that's why the timing of this movement becomes so important. For those of you who've been used to a barbell, it's very similar to doing touch and go reps. If, when I'm letting the barbell descend, I don't have the timing to receive the bar, you'll feel it crush onto your shoulders, crush onto the back rack. And it's exactly the same here with the wrist. I need to have the timing in place in order to make it land smoothly and take away that bruising position. So we're going to see now just 5 reps, 5 clean and jerks, 5 snatches. I want you to just focus on the rotation of the movement and the smooth contact with the kettlebell onto the forearm. So we're 3, 4, 5, and then we come to the snatches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is our kettlebell clean and jerk, kettlebell snatch. If you guys have any questions or comments, please put them below and we will get back to you. Thank you very much for watching.